It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, August 9th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. Now today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Health is Happiness, the Bible word study on the book Mere Christianity from C.S. Lewis, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And it is the middle of the week. It is hump day. Yes, we're smack in the middle. I hope you guys have enjoyed your week so far. We have Wednesday service tonight. If you haven't yet, go ahead, leave a like and a comment to build our community. Just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's message, learn from me again. Like I said before, it'd be nice if you guys would just click that like button. You know what? Like I said before, the like button is something more for the algorithm, but I don't really care about the algorithm because this is only for members anyways, this channel here, right? So because this channel is only for members, if you do like this podcast, if it's something that you're like enjoying, you're listening to every day, it would be great if you could hit that like button just so I know that there are people out there enjoying it. So there's just communication between you and me. Right? The communication between you and me is I like this podcast or I'm enjoying it. And if you don't worry about it. You can actually click the thumbs down. It doesn't matter to me. Right? It's just communication, and I would love to hear it. If you have any feedback or anything you want to tell me, go ahead, leave it in the comments below, or you can DM me or whatever it is too. Q&A Thursday is tomorrow, so make sure you send in your questions. I've already got a question came in yesterday, so if you have any other questions, please just DM me or put it in the comments below. Would love to hear that too. Peaceful protest. I did report about it yesterday on Provi in the media. It is amazing. 15,000 people on Sunday, and it's happening every weekend. I believe it's every Sunday it's happening. So it is something that I am surprisingly and joyfully shocked by it. Right? I am. And like I said yesterday, I'm really, really happy about it, because only with the info that I have so far. I don't know the full info on it, but like I said yesterday too, I really want to hear what Sunseam says about this in the future about these protests. And personally, if I was in Korea, I would join these protests too. It's just something that I look at and say, yeah, this is something that's I think is very, very important. But I would like to hear what Sunseam thinks also. But I don't think we've heard anything like very, very negative. Like the one thing I did hear, but I brought this up yesterday too, is during the trial, Sunseam can't say everything he wants to say. He did say something very, he didn't say anything negative. He's like, he said like, don't join the protest, join the retreats, which basically means that, you know, if you had to choose between the two, the more important one is the retreats, which I think all of us agree that the retreats is more important as we have the words coming in for these summer retreats and stuff. But like I said, we don't know what Sunseam's current situation in trial is and what is going to be the best way. What's Sunseam's real feelings on this too. So I hope that people, as this has started, it seems it started organically, and I really hope that this is the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and it has like a very positive effect on the country, the public opinion about Providence, and even more so on Sunseam's trial. So I'm excited. I just love to see people no longer feeling like they have to hide, but they're just out in the open. A lot of them aren't even wearing masks. They're a lot older too, and they're just saying, you know, we're real, normal, good people. And if you look at us, you can see Sunseam through us, right? So that is something I look at, and I feel it's like a big change where they're no longer just hiding, right? They're in the open. They're saying, this is us. You don't like it? That's purely up to you. And I think that is a great attitude and a good shift I see happening right now at this time. Yesterday, I went to go watch a movie. Well, not yesterday. Well, yesterday for me, but for you guys, it's yesterday for me, which is a Monday, and it was a holiday. It was British Columbia Day, BC Day, and it was like federal holiday, so everyone had the day off, and I hung out with the guys, and we watched this animation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, And this is something that's, I think, is from like the late 80s or early 90s. Like, I grew up when the Ninja Turtles first came out, right? And it was very, very, it was very, very made for kids. Like, it's always cowabunga, radical, bodacious. Like, they're like surfer teenagers and stuff. I watched this animation. It wasn't bad. Of course, the story is very cliche. The animation was awesome. It's very close to like the Spider-Verse movies. And I really, really enjoyed the type of animation it had. And I enjoyed it. I would say I would give it a good 6.5, 7 out of 10. But brought a lot of nostalgia, and I like how they made it more modern and current too. Like, they're not like these surfer dudes anymore. They're a little bit more like, they're kind of like Gen Z a little bit, but not as weird as Gen Z. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed that too. And yeah, I went with the campus guys at church. We just chill, hang out. And for me too, is I just chill and hang out with them every single week. We have fun together, we relax, we eat, we play games. We just kind of do what guys do. And like, there's no other reason to gather but to have fun and just relax. Like, we're not doing a word study. We're not going to pray or talk about the word or talk about, like, I'm not going in there trying to talk about like how's the pre-dawn going and stuff like that. I enjoy their company. I really do, because we have tons of fun playing games, playing foosball, stuff like that. And I do think they enjoy my company. I do think. I'm a little bit older. I'm not a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm more than double their age. I'm basically at their parent, a little bit like their uncle's age, like a young uncle. But I think they like hanging out because, well, if they're kids, if they didn't want to hang out, they wouldn't hang out. They say, oh, I'm busy and stuff. But I really enjoy that. But here's one thing I really noticed. And this is a question that someone was asking me the other day about, we're trying to work on evangelism and evangelizing guys, right? So for evangelizing guys, it's a very, very important thing. We're evangelizing guys. We're trying to figure out what's the best. And the question that came to me, what's the best way to manage them? And one thing that I think that is a massive disadvantage for girls is that guys like to follow guys. Like, guys are very pack oriented, and we're looking for an alpha male, someone who's, usually they're going to be older, usually, not always. In like high school, you're not going to be older, but they're looking for someone who is a cut above everyone else, right? And they're very, very capable. And when we look for those types of people, because we're looking for someone to follow, it's just kind of guys are into this type of thing. This is why when guys will like hero worship. That's the right word. We hero worship like these amazing professional athletes. We hero worship like the super smart, innovative, like the Elon Musks, right? Or the Joe Rogans, or the Patrick Bet-Davids, right? Like, these people who are at the top. We want to learn from them. We want to follow them. And that's what we're looking for. And, I've been hanging out with these guys for like 2 months now, and I really feel that we've just built some stronger bonds, and these bonds really allow us to trust each other more, and I think it helps us to realize our role inside the group too, right? Because even when you if you have a pack mentality, then everyone knows that they have a certain role in the pack. Like, they'll know who is the alpha, who is the one that, we'll listen to or we want to become like. And I was thinking, especially when it comes to guys, yeah, guys need another, like a guy to look up to, someone who is ahead of them, someone to show them how to do things, someone who they'll respect, and someone they're like, oh yeah, it motivates them to do better. Right? Guys love to be in groups, and we like to be in our positions inside that group. And especially in Providence, I don't know how many alpha males there are. If I was really thinking about how many alpha males, there are a lot of supporting cast in supporters, and there's both are absolutely necessary, because what I also know is leaders can't do everything. They lead in a certain way, but they need the supporters, they need the advisors, they need the people supporting them up so that they can lead better, right? And the supporters like their role because they don't want to be the alpha, but they're very, very good at supporting and advising and doing other different roles like that too. So, guys like that group dynamic. And they like their mission in the group. Like, let me give you an example. When we went to watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the other day, just yesterday, one guy just planned the entire day. Got all the options, all the restaurants, all the entertainment. What do you guys want to do? And we voted for these things. And this guy was just really responsible with his mission, like his role. He picked out 3 restaurants. We chose one. One was one closed because it was the holidays, and we just moved to the second restaurant. Entertainment. We were going to go to either a movie or escape room, and we found out that the escape room was fully booked, so we just watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles instead. We chilled at to get some boba. And we played cards until the movie. Just really relaxing, fun. I super enjoyed it. And it's very interesting because I look at this as like guys are pretty physical, right? We're very, very physical. We need to be doing things. We're very physical about touch, taste, see, all these other different things like this. And I think to get to a guy's heart, I'm not sure about girls because I don't know girls as well. And girls, because I'm a guy, I believe that girls are a lot more complicated and guys are much more simple. And that's just from my perspective. And you guys can probably tell me that it's different. Like, no, girls are very simple. You just don't know girls very well. And I'd be like, yeah, I probably don't. I just know guys better because I'm a guy. And what I found was guys go from physical to spiritual. It doesn't go spiritual to physical. It goes physical to spiritual. And this is why I think that it's ingenious how God speaks through parables, and he talks about physical things, and through those physical things, we understand the spiritual things and do spiritual things more, right? So when we first met, 2 months ago, the situation was people were not very active. The guys weren't very active in church. They weren't going to pre-dawn. We don't know what really was going on. People were just kind of like hanging around kind of thing, right? And we weren't even sure. So for me, I was just like, yeah, I'll hang, come on, you're guys. I love hanging out with guys, playing sports, doing all these other different things. And we went out to play, we went to play sports. We hung out. We made Thursday nights our night to hang out. And it took about 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks of just hanging out and being close and being friends with them, like spiritual things eventually just came out as like naturally during conversation. Like they ask me straight out about pre-dawn. Like, hey, we're really thinking about pre-dawn this. And that was after the first week. So I was like, yeah, it's not easy. And we talked about it. And then what I realized is it's not that they don't want to do it. It's just really hard. They don't have the motivation, or they just don't know how to do this, right? And they're tired in the mornings. They're doing, they have life to live too. And it took about a week. And after about a week, we're like, hey, let's just start doing pre-dawn together then. Let's join the Zoom pre-dawn service, and let's just call each other in the morning and make sure that we wake up. And then, especially with the 70-day prayer condition, let's do it together. And it was really, really natural. And within 2 weeks, we're all going to pre-dawn together, all of us. And I think, like, if you look at the 3 of us, the average is we miss about, in the last 3 weeks, the average between the 3 of us is we missed like 1 pre-dawn each. That's like if we were to do an average of the 3 of us. And going strong after 3 weeks, even still then. And I was super inspired because just getting to talk to them, you kind of understand where their heart is. And that it's not that they don't want to do it. It's just sometimes it's hard because you've put yourself into a habit where you're sleeping really late or waking up really late and stuff. And they just didn't have the guidance or someone to help them or someone they can trust, right? Or look up to, or really cares about them. And I'm not saying that I am someone, I am not saying that, and I'm the alpha male that came in and did this, and this. Like, part of it is I'm a pastor. I'm older than them and stuff like that too, right? And I'm known to them also. So what I was saying is, yeah, guys are just looking for that type of thing. We look for the alpha male. And if someone is strong enough to become the alpha male, how that alpha male actually is and acts and lives his life plays a big role. Because if you get the wrong alpha male, then what happens? Then if they don't go to pre-dawn, if they don't do the stuff that they're supposed to be doing, then the guys are just going to follow that type of male leader, right? And that's why, having good alpha males or good male leaders inside the church is very, very good for the church to grow, right? Guys are simple. And like, guys are simple. We don't want people telling us what to do. None of us like that. We have our pride. And we're bothered by just simple things, right? Let me tell you why I was bothered by someone over the weekend, right? And it just had to do with something super simple, super basic. I played sports on Sunday, and then, we're all heading to get some boba after, because we played, and then the loser buys boba, whatever it is, right? And we went to the boba place, but as I was walking to my car, I forgot my sandals, like my slippers. And there was a guy, like, very, very close to there, and I was just like, hey, can you bring my slippers for me? I just called, I was like, hey, bro, can you just bring my slippers for me? And the guy straight up said to me, no. I was like, what? In my head, I'm like, what? In my head, I thought he was just joking, but he's just like straight up like, no, I'm not bringing your slippers. I'm just like, what the heck? And like, for me, that's like a lack of respect, basic courtesy. Like, I would do that for anyone. And I'll be honest, I wasn't happy at that person. I'm driving them. They're sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm not happy. And I just told him straight, I was like, hey, bro, come on. You couldn't even get me my sandals. And the person's like, oh, I didn't know it was real, this, and this. And of course, in my heated mindset, I couldn't believe this guy. But then it took about, 4 or 5 minutes, and it's done. It's done. I'm just like, yeah, all right, whatever. And it's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then, we kind of just go and we move to the next part. And I could tell also this person felt bad, right? This person felt bad that they didn't do that. Yeah, and I understand too, because they felt bad probably because I wasn't happy about it. But it's just something so simple, right? It was just really, really simple. And as a guy, we get into something, we heat fast, and then we cool off fast. And like, that's just kind of the simplicity of a guy. Oh, you did okay, okay, cool. You want to hang? Okay, let's go hang out and stuff like that. And that's just kind of the way guys are. And I do think it's something that we did discuss about this in Man Cave a while back. But if you guys are finding it very, very hard to manage guys, usually what I find is that you're telling guys or you're putting them down, like, oh, why are you guys like this? How come none of the guys come to pre-dawn? How come it's like this? It's like, it's very demeaning, and it's like hurting someone's pride. You know what I mean? And when I look at that, it's like, yeah, you're not going to get guys to listen to you. And as weird as this sounds, it's even worse when it comes from a girl. For the pride of a guy. And, that's just the pride. And you just got to understand the position a guy is coming from. And, of course, we don't like the guys, too. When guys say it also, and one of the reasons when we don't like when guys say it is when guys are, like, too strong about, like, what the hell? Like, they're too militant, right? But girls they're not militant, usually. They're not militant. But the sound, because their voice is more high-pitched, it sounds more nagging and whiny, right? And we don't like that either. But it's just kind of like, that's just kind of what's going through a guy's head. And guys are kind of like, yeah, I want to make up my own choice. This is, I want my autonomy. I want to make my own decision to do this. And from my last 2 months, maybe 2 months with these guys, just my experience with these campuses, we just have fun. And eventually everything comes up naturally. And as it comes out naturally, it's just fun. It really, really is. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, this is something that I do think all of us, when it comes to the younger guys, like the older guys are not as active. They like to talk about more deep things. Of course, we like sports and stuff like that too. But the young guys, even more so. I think you're going to have to go heavy into the fun, like really heavy into it. Like I said this before, is we're going to church 9 times. We're participating in church events 9 times a week, right? That's 2 times a week. It's twice, which is Wednesdays and Fridays. We go to church twice, or we have an event twice in that week, right? And when I look at that, it's like, yeah, that's a lot of spiritual work that we're doing. And I do believe that the younger people need more fun. Like as an older person, I like the more, I like meaningful and depth. And yeah, I don't mind teaching. I don't mind going around lecturing. And, I'm starting to lecture once again. I'll lecture again today, or tomorrow, right? And I think, yeah, we need to kind of really rein in how we look at these guys and think more long term. Short term, if you think too short term, it's like, come on, guys, you can do it. You're trying to like rally up the soldiers or whatever it is. But I don't really think it works in this generation. My generation, it works more, but not in the generation today. And I'm as I'm hanging out with these guys, I'm realizing more and more as I hang out with these guys. They're 19 years old, 19 or 20. So they're super young. And I'm learning as I hang out with them. I'm learning my mistakes, like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Ooh, I shouldn't have done this kind of thing, right? But it's something that I look at and like, yeah, I got to work on that stuff too, because it's just like old man grumpiness that I have. The old man, the old and crusty, grumpy grandfather that's just like, right? So it's, I know. And when I do it, I see their reaction on their face. I'm like, ugh, I shouldn't have said that. Or, I shouldn't have done that kind of thing. But, you learn as you go. And think about this. Remember, a generation's 15 years, right? So you have like, every like Gen X, then the millennials and Gen Z and then Gen Y, they're all 15 years. A generation's every 15 years. So me and these kids are 2 generations apart because we're more than 20 years. I'm more than 20. I'm like 25 years older than them. So if I'm 25 years older than them, then we're 2 generations apart, right? And I'm just like, oof. Yeah, we're just very, very different. But we learn as we go. And I think it's going to be something that will definitely benefit me in the future when it comes to these next generations, right? So, yeah, guys need some management, but there's just some parts of like the dynamics of guys and how they're very groupthink, like they want to be together. The dynamics of being in a group, yeah, it's really, really important for guys, and I don't think it's something that a girl can replace. It's very rare. Like there's very few where a girl can. I've never seen it. I've never seen a girl replace that man or that male alpha. I just haven't yet in like reality of like inside churches and stuff. So that is just kind of that's what I did yesterday. But those are some of the thoughts that I was having at that time. Health is happiness. We're gonna have part 2 about managing your weight, and I think this is something very important. And for me, it's kind of interesting because I never think about managing my weight in the past because I was an athlete. I played all these sports, I played sports like every day kind of thing. So weight was not an issue for me. I ate whatever I want. And for me, I didn't care about how good the food was. I cared of what the quantity, how much food I could eat. Like that was the big thing I cared about. Yeah, it's like, let's go to the buffet. Now I don't like buffets. I don't eat enough to pay that much money for a buffet, right? I don't want, a buffet's, when you think about it, when you're reasonable and rational, when you're going to a buffet, when you're young, it's just about how much can I eat? How many plates did you have kind of thing, right? Well, that's for guys. I'm not sure about girls. You guys can write in the comments if girls are like that too. But the buffet's there because there's variety and you can pick and choose the things that you want to eat. But it also means that the quality of the food is very mediocre, mid-grade, or low-grade. Right? Because they have to make so many different types of foods. So as I get older, I care about more of the quality. I don't really care about the quantity. I don't eat that much. I care about the quality. I care about like where it comes from. I care about, I've never tried this food. I really wanted to try this like gourmet luxury steak or whatever it is. And like, let me give you this crazy story. When I was younger in high school, I cared so much about quantity that me and my friends on the rugby team, we straight up would, every restaurant we go to, we'd have some type of eating contest. And one time we went to this place, it's called Wing Wednesdays. Like some of these restaurants, it's like 10 cents per wing. And we just straight up go into how many wings, who could eat the most amount of wings. And I won. Like I ate 63 wings, chicken wings, where the next person ate 54, then the next person ate 37, and I won, right? Because I'm so super competitive, and the winner gets their food paid for. It was just crazy what we like we would do these types of things. And that's why I'm saying this health is happiness with Julius. We did part 1 last week, and part 2 will be this week on how to manage your weight. And I think it's as I've grown older now, it is something that I'm looking into. I don't want to have like in Korean they call it the tongpe. Tong is like poo, and pe is your stomach. Tongpe is like that pudgy stomach, that beer belly that comes out as you get older or you get married or have kids or whatever it is. But I just never had one. I've never had one before, right? But now I'm getting older. If I'm not active for a while, I can start to like, ooh, what's that happening around my waist kind of thing. Like you can see it. I can see it like building like in my chin. I'll get a double chin. Like I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? And it's just basically keeping in shape. And as the older we get, the harder it is to keep in shape. But yeah. I hope you guys will enjoy Health is Happiness, Managing Your Weight. That's going to be episode 2 of a 6-part series. And I think you guys are going to gain a lot of things from this too. Okay? So that's the first segment for today. We do have the next segment is going to be Bible. It's going to be the Bible word study. And just like last week, we went over Confessions from Marcus Aurelius. And he's like one of the fathers of Stoicism, right? And that's actually his diary. Today, we're going to go into another book that has shaped the former faith, Christianity, and, Providence too. This is from C.S. Lewis, and this book is called Mere Christianity, considered one of the foundational books. That it's a must-read kind of thing. So we'll go into that in the next section. All right? So let's get into the first break of today.
Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. No, I'm not slipping through. No, I'm not falling down. The only thing that's falling is my knees on the floor. I'm praying, Lord, will you give me strength? Lord, will you give me power? I can't do this myself, so bless me in the morning hours. All the demons test me, but they will never shake me. If I pray, they hate me. If I pray, you love me. Connected with you is the only thing that matters. And honestly, I couldn't be happier while I'm praying on my knees. I trust you with all my heart. For you always come through. For myself, for my family, for myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. I pray to never just settle for good when great is available. Who's the mastermind behind this mind? I give all the credit to God, that's why I'm back. They mad that I made it, I know that the Satans, they hate it. I keep working hard just to make progress. Now I'm on 10, trust the process, ayy. Look at my efforts lately. I'm setting conditions daily. I'm praying on my knees, so bless me. Please bless me, please bless me. Tribulations always come and go. I will never stop, just always know. Your focus determines reality. Stay solid, that's why I'm praying on my knees. I trust you with all my heart. For you to always come through. For myself, for my family, on myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying sure to always come through. SB.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And every Wednesday we have the Bible word study. We go over stories in the Bible. We go into the origins or backgrounds of the Bible, stories, characters. And just lately, since last week, I was inspired to go over very important books, foundational books of Christianity, or kind of the history of God, people who played such a massive role in shaping Christianity to the way it is today. And last week we did talk about Saint Augustine, and he was considered one of the premier bishops, right? You know, the time of from 400 AD. This is when he became he was a bishop of Hippo, and he wrote the book about his conversion, his life story, a biopic, right? And this is like a very, very powerful book, 13 volumes. I don't think you'll be able to read all of it. However, there are free audiobooks everywhere, so you can just go on YouTube and get an audiobook. This book we're going to talk about today comes from an author, very famous. His name is C.S. Lewis, and he was born in the late 1800s, and he died in 1963. So we're talking someone who's actually pretty recent. Right? Pretty recent, who died less than 50 years ago, 60 years ago, around 60 years ago, 40 plus 20, 60 years ago he died, right? British, he's a writer, a scholar, and he is a theologian, an Anglican theologian, right? And he basically held academic positions in English literature at Oxford University and Cambridge University and stuff. And he's best known as the author of, guess what? C.S. Lewis is the author of The Chronicles of Narnia. So some of you guys don't know those books. These books, you'll know the movie Narnia that came out probably 10, 15 years ago. Even before that, back in my age, there's a movie called The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is from the Chronicles of Narnia. But he also has other works of fiction, really, really good books you can read, like Screw Tape Letters, the Space Trilogy, and the non-fictions that are more Christian apologetics, which is the one we're going to look into today is Mere Christianity, Miracles, and the Problem of Pain. So the book Mere Christianity is nonfiction. Okay, so it's not like something that he made up. This is a fictional book, and wait, it's fictional, non-fictional. Non-fiction means it's true, and fiction means it is false. Not false, but it's made up. So non-fiction. Sorry. Non-fiction. So Mere Christianity is a non-fiction. Okay, it's about facts and truths. And it's about Christian apologetics. Now, those of you guys don't know what apologetics is, the word, apologetics is literally the word defense of faith, right? So the Greek word apologia means defense, as a lawyer gives at a trial. And in every generation, people face the challenges, questions, and concerns of the gospel message of the Bible, right? And this is why you're gonna have apologetics, which means how to defend your faith. That's apologetics. And it's much different than theology. So apologetics discusses and defends the faith against those who don't understand or disagree with it. Theology is more about gaining a deeper understanding of the faith. What is this? What is resurrection? Let's go deeper into resurrection, right? Where the apologetics is defending it, right? Discussing it for those who misunderstand, for those that don't agree, okay? So it's really, really amazing. This book is probably a for sure read, and I saw some audiobooks on YouTube for Mere Christianity, and it was actually adapted from a series of BBC radio talks made between 1941 and 1944, and they're originally published as 3 separate volumes. The first one was Broadcast Talks in 1942, Christian Behavior in 1943, and Beyond Personality in 1944, but it was made into a book, Mere Christianity. One second, I got to sneeze. Excuse me. All right, so it is a 3-volume book, right? And let me just go into this book and how important it is, or what it's actually about. Okay, so if I were to give you just kind of a basic summary of this book, it's basically C.S. Lewis it's apologetic, so it's proving to people that disagree with Christianity, right? So it's apologetic, which means he's proving to open-minded or sensible, reasonable skeptics that God does exist and that he did send Jesus to redeem the world. And the book actually begins with a logical proof for God and then transitions into a discussion of the common ground upon which all Christians stand together on. And readers, you don't have to be a Christian or a non-Christian. All readers at all stages of belief will find this book is very approachable and it's very powerful, rational case for Christianity. So that is something I do think it is a good read just to see where we're coming from. And this is within the last 60 years, right? Well, if these books came out in the 40s, then you're looking at about 80 years ago. So it's very, very recent. It's not going to be about old things in the past, but they talk more, it's more modern. Right? So if there were like big 5 key takeaways from this book, the first one would be that there is a right and a wrong. Like irrefutable, there is a right, there is a wrong, like the laws of nature or moral law. And this is something that's kind of unique to humanity to have these irrefutable rights and wrongs, right? So we can choose whether or not to obey this law, and frequently we don't. But that's kind of the first takeaway. Right? There's irrefutable. Like when you look at nature, there is a right and a wrong. If you want to grow plants, there is a right way to do it. Right? You can't do it any other way except for the way that you're supposed to do it in the laws of nature. And in moral law, we all agree that like murder is bad. We agree that stealing or beating up people, we all agree there's this moral law that we all hold together. So there's the first one. The second takeaway you can have from these books, from Mere Christianity, is that your conscience, right, is the best proof that God exists. Right? So they basically in the book, C.S. Lewis is saying that there has to be something that is directing the universe, which appears in us as a law urging us to do right and making us feel responsible and uncomfortable when we do wrong. Like you have the conscience. When you feel guilty for doing something bad, you feel good for doing something righteous or doing the right thing, right? And our conscience may be the best proof that God exists. So the second takeaway. Third takeaway is Christianity is not a simple religion. Much of it is unexpected, and this is all the more reason to suspect that it's true. So reality is tremendously complicated because you have to deal with the facts. And anyone can be simple if they have no facts to bother about. Okay? Number 4, the fourth thing is God gave free will to human beings because even though it makes evil possible, it's also the only thing that makes possible any love or goodness or joy worth having, right? So love requires us to choose to be with that person. It is free will. Okay, and last takeaway you have from it is from this book, Mere Christianity, what C.S. Lewis says, the utmost evil is pride. It was through pride that the devil became the devil, and pride leads to everyone pride leads to all the other vices in life, right? It is the complete anti-God state of mind having this type of pride, right? So very, very important book, right? And it's something that has shaped Christianity, but it will also allow you to see points of why God is true and God is real. It's basically making the case that God is that our God exists, right? And if you ever think to yourself like, oh my goodness, like how do I prove to a newcomer that God exists? Then this is the book to read, right? This is definitely the book to read if this is something that you really, really want to talk about. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of different things, and I hope that I can go a little bit deeper, more if I were to go into some arguments, right? Like for instance, remember I talked about one of the first takeaways is like the law of human nature, right? So one thing when you look at human nature is when people argue and fight. And the fact that you're arguing and fighting means that you believe that someone is wrong. That's why you argue or fight with someone. Someone is wrong. And put it this way, there's no sense in trying to do that unless you and the other person had some sort of agreement as to what right and wrong are. Just as there would be no sense in saying that a footballer, like when you play soccer, right? If a soccer player had committed a foul, unless there was some agreements about the rules of football, right? So these are laws of human nature. So the law of human nature, as understood by people in the past up until now, was a sense of right and wrong. Everybody knew it by nature and did not need to be taught. Humanity is bound to the law of nature just as they are bound by the law of gravity. There is no escaping it. However, mankind can choose to disobey it if they choose so. And in this key way, the law of nature differs from the other laws of physics because you can choose to disobey it, but like physics, you can't, right? So the law of nature only applies to humans and not to animals, vegetables, or other inorganic things. And this is why this is something that's, because it's only to human beings, this is a bigger proof that there is something out there that's guiding us in our conscience, right? The laws of nature. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is where you can learn from this book. So imagine this is C.S. Lewis writing this part of the book. So you're like, oh, that makes kind of sense. And to some people it makes sense and some people it won't. But some people are going to say, well, some people go against what C.S. Lewis just talked about and say, well, law of nature or decent behavior known to all men is not a very sound argument, because different civilizations and different ages have had quite different moralities, right? To one group, murder is okay, and one group is not, right? They're saying that different civilizations, different ages have different moralities. However, you need to know that this is not true. It's not true that the other civilizations were thinking exactly the opposite. The moral teachings of the ancient Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Hindus, the Chinese, the Greeks, Romans are all remarkably similar. So if someone says to you, this is like a misconception of them saying, well, different societies, different civilizations have different moralities. And the answer is no. When you look at the ancient and the past civilizations, all of them are very similar. The law, the moral teachings. So think about this. Let's look at it as a mental exercise. Imagine a country that had a totally different morality than us, where people were admired for running away in battle, or where a man felt proud of double-crossing all the people who had been kind to him. Men across time and place have differed in regards to what people you ought to be unselfish to, but they have always agreed that you ought not to put yourself first, right? So there's one of the big ones is, yeah, there's some people that we don't, we shouldn't be unselfish to these types of people. But the one thing that all men across time and place have agreed upon is not putting yourself first. Selfishness has never been admired in any of these civilizations, right? So, when you think about this, you're like, oh, okay, so this book is actually teaching us the arguments and the counter arguments. You go over them so you can have a very deep conversation with other people, right? And, it's something that we have to understand when it comes, just this example I gave you of the law of nature, you're going to learn about these things. Right? So the irrefutable right and wrong that's taught from mere Christianity, referred to as the law of nature, moral law, or, some people say the rule of decent behavior, it is unique to humanity across all time and space. We experience and we know this law without being taught it by our parents. Or in other words, the law of nature is not an arbitrary consequence of culture or society, but is the very essence of human consciousness. Right? And then the second thing we need to know about the law of nature is we all break it. We all fail to practice ourselves the kind of behavior we expect from other people, and we all break the golden rule, right? So this is just some of the things that you're going to learn while reading the book Mere Christianity. It's a great book, especially when it comes to kind of understanding the concepts, the ideas, the arguments of telling people that God really and truly does exist, right? So, if you want to know more about it, there's a lot of places. You just read the book, right? When you read the book, you're going to find even more arguments and how deep these arguments get for someone who was, born in the 1800s. If you think about that, I think he lived to like 70, but he was born like 1898, died in like 1960 something, right? So you're looking at like 70 years old. He was like 70 years old, but he was very, very deep, really deep thinker. And you know what? I think it's quite interesting when you look at the philosophers of our time, and just to know how deep the thoughts can get. Like, look at the philosophers of our times, from the Jordan Petersons and the Sam Harrises and the Ben Shapiros, and like, they're all out there. And Elon Musk's, and these people are so far ahead, and their thoughts are so much more deeper and so much higher, that you're like, oh, there were these types of people at every time and place in history. That's just like the Einsteins, right? Einstein is considered one of the geniuses of all time, and he's not even born in our era. He's like 100 years ago, in the 40s, right? When did he die? Did he die in the 50s or the 40s? But, that's before us, right? So I hope it's something that you guys can really get yourselves to start reading. It is a very, very good read. Listen to the audiobook. It's really, really good. And I hope it's something that will enrich your faith and enrich your ideas. This is where Christianity is coming from. This is one of these foundational books that you should read too. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is today's Bible word study on the book Mere Christianity from C.S. Lewis. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, and hope it kind of moves you to start reading these books from the past too that have shaped Christianity. Okay? So there it is. That's the Bible word study. So let's move into the second break of the day before we get into Health is Happiness.
Confident, unshaken. We are proud, unwavering. Confident now. We are so proud. Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
Our clock is ticking, the hands of our clock keep on moving, they never stop. 'Cause we are following the timing of God who is mighty, we don't stop.
I will do the work I must do. I'm the key to the outcome that I want.
With the truth of the times we run diligently, we're making history. I trust in the power that God's given me. I make myself better every day. Since God is with us, supporting us always, we can never lose while we are on this path. No matter what comes our way, whatever may happen now.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
Confident, we're confident, yeah, doesn't matter what may come.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident, we're confident, yeah, come what may, we'll stand as
We
one.
are proud, unwavering.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident now.
We are proud, unwavering.
We are so proud.
Confident, we're confident, yeah.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
No matter what happens, we'll turn tables and we'll climb. Grab the time, fix our minds, fix our contradictions, we will shine. We'll shake it up like sneeze, say God bless you. If there's obstacles to block our way, we'll step right over. Ha ha. Gain momentum, don't tremble, moving forward, just one more step, and now we're going forward. We're following the time, we follow it how we come together, we're stronger. And like heaven, I am established, firm and shaken. And just like the sun, the will of God is never stopping. Like a backpack, God has my back. He's with me, so I'm safe. I'm so confident. I have dignity, whatever may be. I'm ready to face with energy, battery charged up. I'm set up with the Lord. I'm confident. We're winning. Game set.
Since God is with us, supporting us always, we can never lose while we are on this path. No matter what comes our way, whatever may happen now.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
Confident, we're confident, yeah, doesn't matter what may come.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident, we're confident, yeah, come with me, we'll stand as
We
one.
are proud, unwavering.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident now.
We are proud, unwavering.
We are so proud.
Confident, we're confident, yeah.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
Confident, we're confident, yeah, doesn't matter what may come.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident, we're confident, yeah, come with me, we'll stand as
We
one.
are proud, unwavering.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident now.
We are proud, unwavering.
We are so proud.
Confident, we're confident, yeah.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
So what? Yeah, huh. Since God is with us, we are confident, unshaken. Yeah, huh. The Holy Spirit is with us, we are proud, unwavering. Since God is with us, we are confident, unshaken. The Holy Spirit is with us, we are proud, unwavering. Since we live by God, we'll do it confidently. Confidently, do it confidently.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
So what?
Okay, so let's get into our final segment for today. And every Wednesday we have Health is Happiness. We are doing some reruns right now, but very, very important topics that a lot of people haven't been able to hear. And we're going to go into managing your weight. And this is something that's not just about diets and trying to lose weight so I look better. This is really, really about your health and tips on how to manage your weight in a proper and reasonable way. Okay? It's not about fasting for 21 days. This is about real health that you need for your entire lifetime. So really, really happy. This is part 2 of 6. If you want to listen to part 1, it was last Wednesday. So please welcome all the way from Australia. This is Julius Miyuma with Health is Happiness.
Hi everyone, Julius here, and welcome to the Health is Happiness segment. Here's where we discuss all the different ways we can improve health for a happy life, both physically and spiritually. This is episode 11, and today we're going to continue with part 2 on how to manage body weight. Now last week I talked about some of the simple ways one can manage their own weight. I did my best to keep it straightforward as possible because at the end of the day, it has to be integrated into one's daily life to make it sustainable and see significant results. It's not about never eating chocolate or cupcakes, but it's about your default day-to-day habits. I believe when it's too complicated, it becomes too cumbersome to manage. If you haven't already listened to the last episode, I talked about how to eat less but stay satisfied for longer, and also other methods that really help significantly when it comes to trimming down your weight. Now, all these methods are intended primarily to target one particular thing, and that is insulin resistance. Exercise, stress, and sleep are very important factors when it comes to managing your weight. But more than that, what you eat and how it affects your insulin response is really the key to weight management. So what is insulin? Insulin is a hormone made by the pancreas, and its primary purpose is to regulate blood glucose. Normal blood sugar levels at any given time are about a teaspoon. It's a very small amount. So anything more than that is considered excess, and the body produces insulin to remove it. When you eat any food, your insulin goes up. It's like a key that unlocks a door in your cell to allow it to absorb glucose and use it for energy. Any excess glucose your insulin tells your body to store in the liver and muscles as glycogen when you need it for quick energy. Once those tanks are empty, the body reaches into the reserve storage, otherwise known as your fat. Your insulin levels also work the other way, and it informs your body to release energy from storage to be used by the cells for energy. Now then, what is insulin resistance, and why is it so bad? When it gets to the extremes, insulin resistance is known otherwise as type 2 diabetes. It's much more common in adults as a result of the compounding eating habits over time that continuously increase insulin resistance. When you become insulin resistant, your pancreas is pumping out more insulin to keep your blood glucose in check, till it reaches a point that it can no longer keep up. Your cells increasingly stop responding to insulin, so they struggle to absorb glucose, hence the elevated blood sugars. Essentially, but your body experiences internal starvation despite eating food. So what are some of the symptoms of being insulin resistant? One is excessive weight. That's the most obvious one. Visceral fat visible around the stomach and waist are the biggest indicators of insulin resistance. Not feeling satisfied even after eating a large meal, and feeling the need to snack so frequently. This alternatively may happen when your diet is low in nutrition. Also, being easily fatigued after a moderate amount of exercise despite proper sleep and having a decent meal. Also, having low HDL and high LDL in your blood cholesterol. Insulin resistance is a big reason why many diets don't work in the long term. A lot of people find they gain the weight back on, Or if they do go off the diet, they gain even more weight than they had before. The root of the issue needs to be resolved. Of course, with that being said, your diet is not always the issue. Sometimes the answer is simply to exercise, which also happens to improve your insulin response. Having high levels of insulin in your blood tells your body to hold on to your calories instead of releasing them from storage for use. So what happens when most people go on a diet? They reduce their calories, but because they are insulin resistant, their body slows down their metabolism to reduce the calories going out. And it does this because it cannot access the storehouses and it does not want you to starve. This is why time-restricted eating is really helpful. By not eating for extended period of time, your insulin levels go low enough such that it gives your body permission to open up those energy reserves. Over time, you also become less insulin resistant. In addition to this, your body uses up all the liver and muscle glycogen, so your body is now forced to burn off the fat. Now, as you can see, managing our insulin is really important. And we want to avoid eating foods that spike insulin levels excessively high for extended periods of time. The types of food that will typically do this will leave you feeling tired and hungry within 1 to 2 hours after eating. I really recommend, if you haven't already, to listen to part 1 of this series to learn how to get improvements in terms of insulin resistance. So that's it for today's episode on weight management. If you'd like me to elaborate on any particular points, please drop a comment below. Next episode, I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to the different types of carbohydrates. Thanks for listening, and see you all next time.
And thank you so much, Julius, for another wonderful episode of Health is Happiness. It is a rerun, but very important. Part 2 of 6 on managing your weight. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, which means we're here at the end of today's podcast. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Enjoy your service tonight, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know.